Hey, this is Antonio. Welcome back to my channel, and we're going to have some fighting words. But before we go any further, you know the routine. I need for you to like this video and also subscribe to my channel. So in this video, I'm doing a fight breakdown for Errol Spence and his up-and-coming bout against Yordenis Ugas. And let's just take it from here. So the first thing that I feel like Errol Spence needs to do is be really conditioned. I mean, be in the best condition probably since your Kell Brook fight. You need to be really conditioned. Or maybe even the Sean Porter fight. You need to, like these are people who are known for their conditioning and how they're physically are going to show up to the fight, how they're going to prep for the fight. You need to be really conditioned because Yordenis Ugas is one of the biggest guys that you've ever faced. He's up there with Kell Brook. They're both probably the biggest guys that Errol Spence has ever faced. So the first thing is condition. You got to be conditioned. You have to be conditioned for 12 rounds. And I feel like this is going to be a close quarter fight. This is not going to be a distance type of thing. I do think there's going to be some stalling, like where they'll just kind of measure each other up. But once they get over the first and second round jitters and they get some contact, they get close. It's going to be interesting. So that the conditioning is everything. I think conditioning for Errol Spence is going to be a major thing. The second thing is Ugas, although he's Cuban, he doesn't fight in a Cuban style. Like he doesn't. The classical Cuban fighting style is slick and elusive. And as I like Ugas, but he doesn't fight like that. He doesn't fight like that. There's nothing elusive about Yordenis Ugas. He is a sharpshooter. I'll give him that. And he is a thinking fighter. And sometimes he can be a little too patient. So that leads me to my second, cue for Errol Spence. Take advantage of the fact that Ugas is a patient fighter. He doesn't necessarily like a fast pace. He likes a slower pace because he is a sharpshooter. He's not a da-da-da-da-da-da. He's like, bam. He's that dude. He wants to get 50 yards out and snipe you from there. He doesn't want to do an up-close and personal shootout. He's not that guy. But what he will do is, I'm not saying he'll stall, but the thing with Ugas is he'll set himself, but he'll take his time in setting himself. And I think the best thing for Errol Spence is to do what he's been doing lately, is just like throwing a million punches around. It will annoy Ugas because if you throw that many punches, he cannot set himself. Ugas can fight backing up a little bit, but he prefers to set himself because Ugas, in a perfect world, he would like to be first. So if you throw enough punches, he can't be first. But more importantly, he can't set. So it doesn't matter if he's first because Errol Spence is actually a pretty good counterpuncher. So it doesn't necessarily matter if Ugas is first. What's important is Errol Spence does not let Ugas plant himself. The minute Ugas is planted, he's firing heavy metal. Like he's going to throw, and he's throwing heavy. But on top of that, he is a sniper. He's a precision guy. So you can't let a guy like that get planted. That's the key. The key right there is to make this fight a fast fight. Ugas wants a slower fight. We want a fast fight. We want a conditioned fight. We want to make Ugas work every minute, every round, every 3 minutes around, every minute. That's the key with fighting Ugas. Make him work. If you look at the fight with Sean Porter and Ugas, he was very frustrated because one thing you got to give Sean Porter is that dude's in shape. And if he's coming in there, you're going to have the fight of like your life because he's not going to slow down. He's going to be conditioned to go every round. He's going to come out with the same intensity every round. And it's not going to end into that final bell. So with that fight, I did see that Ugas could get frustrated. Now, with the Manny fight, he didn't have to get frustrated because he didn't have such a physical guy. Manny Pacquiao's not a physical guy. Manny Pacquiao is an aggressive guy. He's a guy who's going to throw a lot of punches, but he's not a physically aggressive guy. He's not the type of guy who's going to elbow you back or wrestle you and just clinch up. He's not that guy. Errol Spence can be that guy. Errol Spence showed in his fight with Sean Porter, he can be that guy. In order for someone to beat up or just beat Yordenis Ugas, they're going to have to be physical. They're going to have to be physical. Because keep in mind, he's already big for the division. You're going to have to be physical. You might have to just force him back to the ropes. Not beat him back, but force him back. Just impose your will, just to get him back. And so now we've covered conditioning. We've covered a lot of punches, combinations, and again, it doesn't matter if you're first or you're countering. Either way, whatever you do, throw them in bunches. The main thing with this, he can't get planted. So those are the things that I feel like would make Errol Spence successful. Not to mention a strong jab. Ugas actually has a really great jab, but he doesn't use it consistently. Like, it's just like pop, pop, round two, pop, pop. As opposed to like an Errol Spence who's like pop, 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 pop. You know, like, he's going to use the jab. That's how you use the jab, people. It always annoys me, especially when I see people who actually have great jabs. They don't use them properly. You want to use your jab to set distance. You want to use your jab as a rangefinder. You want to use your jab to confuse your opponent. You want to use your jab to annoy your opponent. You want to use your jab to hurt your opponent. Your jab does everything. Your jab literally does everything. It can set traps. It does everything. That's why you use a jab. You don't just use a jab like a right hand. No, you use a jab. The jab has a lot of jobs. Like, okay, it wears a lot of hats. I'll say it like that. The jab wears a lot of hats if you use it correctly. If you use it correctly, a jab is an extremely dangerous weapon. And Errol Spence is the type of guy, like I said earlier, he throws a lot of punches. That jab is so effective to a guy like that who has the conditioning to throw so many punches. Also, he's in your face every minute of every second of every round. That's annoying. I can personally tell you, it's annoying to be in a ring with somebody who just won't let up. And it's like, dude, are you serious? You know what I'm saying? So it could be annoying. If for nothing else, let's just say the jabs are just peppering jabs. It can be annoying to know that this guy is just going to continue every round. More jabs, more jabs, more jabs. And then every once in a while, he slips in a body shot. Every once in a while, you get hit with an uppercut. You know, but you don't know what, and that's another thing. You're mixing it up. Because of that jab, the flow starts to come. And I think with that combination, doing that, with roughhousing, there's no way that Yordenis Ugas can get set. And if he can't get planted, he's not going to get set that well. Like, he needs to be set. He's just one of those guys. He just can't, wherever he lands, he can throw a punch. He's not that type of guy. Some people are like that. Wherever they land, they can just fire a punch off. Floyd Mayweather can do that. Roy Jones could do that. Terrence Crawford could do that. He could just, wherever he lands, he could throw a punch from there. He can do that. Lomachenko can do that. You know, wherever he lands, Usyk can do that. But not everybody can do that. And I can personally tell you, Yordenis Ugas cannot do that. He is a thinking fighter. And sometimes I feel like that's one of his own personal enemies. He thinks too much in fire. You know, and I think, yes, you need to have calm in the storm, but don't overthink it. You know, like, don't overthink it. You've trained, your body is conditioned, and muscle memory. You know, and that's one of the things I like about Errol Spence. When he's just throwing so many punches, now the rhythm is just coming because he's just constantly moving. He's constantly pressing forward. He's constantly giving you something to think about. If you just jab and you're not even thinking about it, you will literally just start throwing other punches. Like, combinations will just come if you continue to jab. And I think, you know, he can pull this off. I personally think it's slightly in his favor, Errol Spence. I'm not saying it's going to be easy. I don't think it's going to be easy at all. You know, because in order to truly beat Ugas, you got to be a rough, tough, rugged type of fighter. And at his core, Errol Spence is not that. He's just willing to play that game if that's what you bring to the ring. But at his core, he wants to just smother you with punches. He doesn't want to like bully you, and he don't want to do all that stuff. And frankly, I think he's at his best when he has that space to work, and he is throwing all these punches. So we covered conditioning. You must be conditioned. We covered basically not roughhousing, because I hate to say that, because that's like telling somebody to cheat. So I don't necessarily mean roughhousing. I hope you don't take it like I mean rough, like cheat. But you know what? Like Ricky Hatton said, hey, we're in a fight. So do what you got to do to get the guy back, or to not let the guy to get set. That's how I mean it. Throwing a lot of punches and bunches. Countering is going to be very important in this fight. Countering. Trust me when I tell you it's going to be very important in this fight, because both of these guys are starters. They like to initiate. So the counter punching is going to be like off the hook. But on top of that, I just think the countering is going to be the cherry on top for this fight. And that's really it. I mean, just don't, those were my pros, of course. My don'ts, I mixed in there. But like, mainly, don't let Ugas get set. Do not let the man get set. Don't give Ugas space. He's already, big for the division, and he's long. Don't let him get the space. Don't let him get the space to think. And do not let him push you back. Ugas is that type of guy. If he can push you back, he's going to take advantage of it. And then he's going to have his way, because if he can push you back, he can set that space. If he can push you back and he can set that space, well, now he can. Now he has the space to think. Like I said, he's a thinking fighter. Do not let him think. Pepper him with something every round. Give him something to think about. Let there be no time to think. Let there be no time to get set. Let there be no time to breathe. Just stay on top of him. And I feel like there were moments in the Manny Pacquiao fight where Manny Pacquiao could have really, but the problem was he just didn't have the size to do it. And I think when you look at Errol Spence, he has the size to do it. He has the size to back Ugas off of him, or just back him up. And those are my thoughts. You know the routine. I want to know what you have to say. Drop them down below. And as always, please like, please subscribe.